Hello and welcome to Weekly Fix. I'm Zane, and joined with me is my good co-host Jacob. Here we
I'm
are.
back.
He's
I'm
back,
back.
baby. He's back. Welcome back, Jacob. Glad to have you back here in the beautiful state of Florida. I'm sure you're enjoying a little bit warmer weather, but man, Thanksgiving, it was here. Now it's gone. How was yours?
It was great. Yeah, we traveled back up to West Virginia, and it was definitely a lot colder up there. Woke up a couple of mornings, and it was like in the low 20s. We had a little bit of snow, really just flurries, so not anything that actually stuck to the ground. But no,
Okay.
definitely happy to be back. It was definitely cold, but I kind of enjoyed it. It was definitely nice to kind of cool down a little bit and not just be hot all the time. So that was nice. But no, it was a great trip overall. Excited to get back to the podcast, and shout out to Peyton for holding it down for another week for me when I missed. So I heard the podcast. It was pretty good. Pretty good. Can't complain. Peyton knows his Stranger Things trivia pretty well.
Dude,
So,
I was impressed.
yep.
Yeah.
Well, he does
Now,
say this is one of his favorite shows. So it
he
does kind of match
does.
up.
Yeah, yeah, and he watches his favorite stuff on repeat, which
Yeah.
is it was a big thing. So I don't know how many times I should have asked him how many times he's watched this,
Yeah.
but it's definitely more than I have. So,
Well, even me, as big of a Stranger Things fan as I am, I've only ever watched it like one time through. I've never gone back and rewatched an episode or anything. So if you've rewatched it like multiple times, I think there's a special. He's a tier above us when it comes to Stranger Things fandom.
yeah, no, he's definitely a tier above. I think I've seen it. I haven't seen season 4 twice because that's a monstrosity that
It's a big
uh
season.
my brother-in-law Jared was here and he's like, I want to watch everything to catch up before I like to refresh my mind so that I know I have a good like entry into this new season. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if you remember, but some of those episodes are like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, there are some
That's
long
like a
episodes.
single episode. So I was like, you're committing yourself to like 60 hours worth of content.
Yeah, no, I know that even this season to start off has been pretty good flow as long as length of episodes. I will
Yeah.
say the little like recap that they had on Netflix actually helped a ton. Like it was
Oh
a
yeah.
nice little just kind of get you back into the flow of things. I think even the recap was like 4 or 5 minutes long. So no, it's good to be getting back into Stranger Things, which is obviously our topic of this episode. Which it
That's
feels
right.
like we've never talked about Stranger Things
We
while it's been
haven't. We have
releasing.
not
This is the
had the
first time.
opportunity. This is a pretty big deal. Now,
Yeah.
so talking about the length of it, you said the recap helped you a lot, but actually prepping for last week's episode helped me tremendously because I was like doing the questions and I was like, oh man, I forgot that happened, and I'm like, I gotta go Google the answer.
Yeah.
So that was very helpful to me to kind of go through those questions, but that recap was, yeah, that was a nice one, pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I'm
Now,
excited. It's really fun. We're getting to talk about Stranger Things on the podcast. But before we get into that, how was your Thanksgiving? We didn't even
oh,
we
dude,
brushed right over it.
it was great. Charlie's birthday is right around Thanksgiving, so the holiday is full of festivities outside of just the Thanksgiving aspect. But we always throw her party on that Saturday, so we have that coming up. We got Zoo Lights, which I talked about last week, is one of mine, and it was great this year. It was cold, so I got to wear like long sleeves and a hoodie.
Mhm.
It was very very nice, very comfortable. Got my Venetian vanilla latte, so good, and got to do the Zoo Lights, so that was super cool. Food was incredible. Dreama and Chelsea did a phenomenal job cooking. Everything was amazing. And my mashed potatoes was still my favorite dish, with the homemade sourdough rolls coming in second because those were
Nice,
so good.
nice.
But I asked Peyton last week, and I didn't get to ask you, what was your favorite dish this year?
I'm gonna be honest. I've been telling everybody that's asked me this question. I'm just done with Thanksgiving food. It is so overrated. It sucks. Like it's really not that good. So favorite dish, I usually always go with like stuffing. I'm a big stuffing fan if I have to pick one. Um, but no, dude, I'm over Thanksgiving food. Me and my wife have made the executive decision. If we ever host a Thanksgiving dinner or anything like that, we're cooking like steak. We're going all out because Thanksgiving food, and I might get
Okay.
some hate for that, but it's
Oh
just
yeah,
not my
absolutely.
thing.
Like
It is
last
not my
year,
thing.
I remember as soon as you said that, I was like, you had the same complaint last year. But
It's
what
just
I
that
you need to stay home next year, or yeah, stay home next year. Come over to the Worley household, do Thanksgiving with us, and we'll change your mind. We'll give you
I
some
don't know,
good.
man.
We'll give you some good Thanksgiving food. It's worth it.
It's
I
it's
promise, man.
just
It's
so
so
like
good.
I've had so many different iterations of Thanksgiving food, and it extends into Christmas. Like we have to do it again for Christmas, and it's just like kind of the same stuff. And I just am not a fan of it. And I know I know I'm definitely in the minority with that. I know a
Oh yeah.
lot of people really look forward to that Thanksgiving dinner every year, but I'm just not one of those people. I'd rather have like pizza and chicken wings and stuff like that. But
No, I mean, chicken wing is pretty hard to beat.
it's
Chicken
pretty
wing is
good.
pretty good, pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Maybe you could make that a holiday tradition. You know,
I'll
little.
bring the chicken wings next
You'll
year.
bring the chicken wings next year. So. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, if you come over, if you stay home, you want to come to our household in Jacksonville, you'll be more than welcome here.
For sure, for
Let
sure.
us know in the comments below. Is Jacob right? Does Thanksgiving food suck?
I'm definitely right. I'm
I'm gonna
definitely right.
say Thanksgiving food does not suck. So let us know. Is Jacob right or is Zane right? One of us has to be wrong. Uh,
We might
but
get a perfect 50-50 split. You never know. You never know.
maybe, who knows? But
Probably
anyway,
not.
Stranger Things, dude. Here we go.
Yep.
Popping off with Stranger Things. Big season drop. Now we only got the mid-season drop. So, and what we'll do here at the start of the show is we will give a little spoiler-free review here to kind of see if people haven't jumped back in to Stranger Things. Should you jump back in? Is it worth it? What's the time commitment looking like? What are we enjoying? That'll be quickly, and then we'll jump into full spoiler. So, if you want to review Jacob, non spoilers, how should somebody watch this show if they have watched the previous four?
I mean, I think if you've watched those previous few seasons, you've been committed to it enough to watch those. You definitely have to hop into this because it is just more Stranger Things, right?
Yeah.
I think how good those previous seasons were, they've set the bar extremely high. I mean, this is probably one of the most anticipated TV show releases, maybe of all time. I think it's kind of hard to argue. Just
So,
with how
yeah.
big pop culture has gotten, how big Netflix has gotten, all those things, and this one has been around for a long time. I mean, Stranger Things is one of the staples when you think about Netflix TV shows. So I highly recommend it. I think that they have definitely lived up to the hype with this first
Okay.
half of the season. But I'm excited for what's to come because there are some complaints. I am going to have some complaints. But
Okay.
overall, I am very much so wanting more. Like I told my wife probably 3 times since we watched the last episode that I'm so irritated that we have to wait for the rest of the season to drop because the story has been phenomenal. I'm so excited to see where these characters end up going, where the story continues to tread. So no, if you've watched those first few seasons and you enjoyed them, highly recommend picking up this next season so far.
Okay. Now, and I echo that sentiment exactly. I do have some complaints. My biggest complaint I feel like is with the pacing, just slightly. I have a slight pacing complaint. I feel like we're moving just slightly too slow for the final season of this show. But I have thoroughly enjoyed my watch of this. There's nothing that I would say don't watch. Now I do have a big complaint, and that's with the language. It
That was going to
seems
be my
like
number one. That
it
was going to be
seems
my
like they
number one.
dialed up the language, and especially the GDs.
Yep.
I was mind blown at how many I was hearing, and maybe I just haven't watched the other seasons, and maybe my sensitivity to that stuff has tuned up at this moment. But I feel like, especially for a TV 13 show or TV 16, like this is not an MA show. The language is heavy. Now I know they're not dropping F bombs, but I would rather hear an F bomb than to take my Lord's name in vain. Just flat
Yeah.
out.
That's my number one complaint. And it feels like they're just like it's so unwarranted. Obviously,
Yeah.
anytime you say something like that, it's unwarranted. But like it really feels like they just kind of like throw it into sentences sometimes, like just kind of out of nowhere. I remember like one of the scenes with obviously we're still talking spoiler free, but this isn't a spoiler. One of the scenes with Robin, she says it like 3 times in the span of like 2 minutes. And I
Yep.
was like, I feel like I don't know if the Duffer Brothers are the ones that actually did, because sometimes there's people that fluff the script. I
Yeah.
don't know if that was something that they wanted to do, or if that was just, someone was like, maybe this day and age that was said a lot, because obviously I didn't grow up back then. I don't know what the language was like. Maybe this was something that people said a lot. But it definitely feels overdone. And especially like you were saying with those things in particular, that's been my like literal biggest complaint. If we limited that, I really wouldn't have many. I know you touched on the pacing a little bit. Usually I would agree with you in that sentiment, but with the episodes being so long,
Yeah.
I really don't find myself being like, oh, it's taking too long. I think really just because it's the last season, I'm really relishing in the fact like, oh, this is Stranger Things. I want every little bit of it that I can get. So I haven't had as big of an issue with the pacing, but I do get where you're coming from because there's a few scenes that are in there where you're like, that was a whole lot of nothing. But other than that, I really don't have too many complaints.
Yeah, and that's a big one for me because it does lower the enjoyment of me. Like that honestly is the kind of stuff that'll take a project from a 10 to a 9. Like
Mhm.
just the fact that I cringe as much as I had. I think it also may be the age of the kids. I think the age of the kids now being adults feel like they need to kind of separate themselves from those earlier seasons, and the language may be a way to show the age progression
Yeah.
outside of just their faces. So they may be trying to show maturity, even though I feel like that's a sign of someone who has an immature mind. It's just, it's a little challenging to sit there and watch through it. But yeah, and the pacing for me, I also don't think it's excessively bad. But I know we have a 2 hour and 30-minute finale. I know we have an hour and 30-minute finale to the finale,
Mhm.
like a pre-finale, and then we have another 3 hours before that. So it's like
Mhm.
we have a lot of story time. If we're gonna take that much story time, like make it worth it. And I feel like it is worth it so far, but we have that much time left. And it's like, okay, so like could we have maybe condensed this and made it a more effective storytelling? That's where I'm at. And it's like, maybe. I'm not saying they could have because I've thoroughly enjoyed my time. I binged it pretty much. I would have binged it first night, but Chelsea couldn't hang. Um, did binge it the second night, got her through it, but man, it's so enjoyable. So yeah, if you're watching it, I would recommend to continue watching it. Do have the warning there about the language, but other than that, honestly, it's pretty solid. So you ready to
I
jump
will
into
also
spoilers?
say, yeah, but I will also say, besides the language thing, I feel like they've toned down the gore a little bit. Now, there's a couple of scenes where there are some, but I feel like if you go back and rewatch some of those past seasons, I feel like it's a lot worse than what we've seen so far throughout this season. I think that's also because we just haven't gotten into the thick of the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I've known in those last couple of seasons, I mean, we saw a lot more than what we've seen so far. So I don't know, again, maybe as the season continues, that'll pick back up. But for me, it's been toned down a little bit, which I'm a little sad about. I'm like, come on, let's see some guts
I
spilling
need
and
to
blood
see some
splattering.
intestines. Come on.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. We get a little bit of it. But personally, I hope that picks up a little bit as the season continues.
Yeah, and I think there's a very specific reason with that, with the focus on the smaller children. No
Mhm. Oh,
spoilers
for
there,
sure.
but it is like a little bit different demographic that is kind of having the target here. So yeah, I don't think the gore is a negative for me. I do think I agree with you. It was slightly turned down. We got to see a little bit of it pick up there in the finale,
Yeah.
but and the one scene in particular, I think it was shocking to me. I was like,
If it's the same scene I'm talking about, might have been my favorite scene of the
uh,
finale.
pretty rough. So I don't think it's the same scene because I don't think mine was in the finale. I'm trying to remember.
Okay,
But
okay.
anyway, all right, spoilers. This is your warning. If you haven't watched it and you want to go into season 4, just kidding, season 5, unspoiled, now is your time. If you wanted to go into season 4 unspoiled, you probably already
Yeah, you
messed
missed your opportunity.
but let's go. Spoilers. What's your number one spoiler? Here we go.
Man, Vecna is a beast. That's the first thing I got to say about it. No, overall, there's been so much fun stuff to talk about. I know I'm excited to talk to you about some of the story, the way the plot is developing, and all that stuff. But man, that scene stuck out to me so much. Talking about the finale already, hopping right into it, dude. When he walks out of the Upside Down, he looks so much better, so much more menacing than he did in the
Okay.
past. And I think that's something that plays a big effect moving forward. Like, he actually looks like a villain. I know in the last season when we got to see him, he looked a little, funky, some of the things about him, but now he looks like cool. And
Looks
that
like
was
he's
the
wearing
coolest thing.
armor.
Yes, it looks like he's ready for war. And I think all those things are really cool. Obviously, I love anytime we get to see a big bad on the screen like that. I've always been a fan of villains. Give me the Darth Vaders, give me the Thanoses, and obviously Vecna is right there with the worst of the worst. And we're really starting to see how terrible of a person he really is
Oh my
in this
goodness,
season.
yeah. Yeah, talk about worst the worst. Yeah, he's definitely worse than like I can't say quite as Darth Vader because Darth Vader literally murdered a
He
room of
does kill the
children with
younglings.
lightsabers. So like they're like right there because
Yep, yep.
Vecna here targeting the children, um, and then ask, dude, what is going on here with his targeting of these children? Why is Holly being targeted? Why does he need so many of them? Is he raising up? Like, is he playing like a super long game? Are we going to see another time jump? And that's one of the things. Are you glad that we got a time jump?
Yes, I am glad we got a time jump. I'm not one of those people that as it gets as upset as you do about seeing or not seeing stuff that happens off screen. I'm perfectly fine whenever we get a time jump. If it helps develop the story, I think a big part of the reason why they had to do the time jump is because the actors do look so much older.
Oh
You're
yeah.
going to have to do something there. So for me personally, I was kind of happy we saw a time jump. I think they executed it really well too. When we last left Hawkins, the ground was splitting open. All these things had happened. And if we come back to Hawkins, it's quarantined completely. They've used metal plates to cover up all the holes in the ground. So obviously, stuff was happening. And I am appreciative of that there wasn't a time jump and there's still these giant holes everywhere and Hawkins is still on fire. It feels like they handled it really well.
No, I agree. Like honestly, this is a very well done time jump in my opinion. I didn't want
Hmm.
to see pretty much anything that they cut out. It's
Hmm.
not like it was like, oh, I bet that would have been really interesting or that is like super crucial to the story and I would have liked to have seen that. I don't need to see them hauling in buildings to the upside down. I don't need to see
Hmm.
them welding plates in the city. That's all wasted time. So I'm very glad that they did this time jump and then you touched on it, the kids age having a time jump so that we can actually say, hey, like the kids aged, like it's not as bad as it would have been if it was like, hey, this is the next day. And they've aged 3 years,
Yeah.
very developmental years, might I add, for a lot of our characters. Mike does not look like Mike. It looks like they recast him. If you were to watch the first episode and then watch season 5, episode 1, I don't know if you would know that was the same kid.
Well, they did recast Will for that first little intro into the season. I know a lot of people had complaints about that, but that like first 5 minutes of the first episode where they go back in time to him being a little kid and we
Yeah.
see what he was doing in the Upside Down, he actually was recast for that, obviously, because they ain't gonna have
Okay.
him do that because he was a little kid back then. But I've seen some complaints about that, and me personally, I would rather them recast that kid than do like some CGI or something like that. I feel like
Yeah,
that
might
was a
as
better
well.
approach for this one.
Yeah, and I like that aspect too because it gets kids to like actually have a chance of like getting on
Yeah.
screen. Like, that kid's gonna get to say I was in Stranger Things. That's really cool.
Hmm.
As opposed to like just running, a stupid computer generated will
Yeah.
that may or may not look good.
Exactly. Yeah. So some of those things, I get what you're saying, but overall, I'm happy with the time skip. And talking about some of the things that I think it really helps with, we talk about what they call as the crawls, where whenever they
Yeah.
find opportunities for them to sneak back into the upside down and all those things, it would have been kind of frustrating to watch them go through those early struggles of how to figure that out. That's where I feel like we would have seen a lot of time wasted. It's kind of cool that we got to see them just like know how to do it. They know how to navigate the upside down. They've already set all these parameters and things in place. Those are the things where you really enjoy a time skip because sure, everyone loves a good, training montage, but this would have kind of been an annoying one just watching them mess up a bunch of times, not really figure stuff out. So those aspects of a time jump I think were really helpful for this season.
Well, yeah, and you can kind of see where it's coming from, especially with like the car like having to track them in the upside down while
Hmm.
you're in the car, like using your decibel frequency radar. Like that's really cool. That's a really
Yeah.
cool aspect of it. It adds a complication. It adds like some technicality, and that's what's kind of bringing this into the sci-fi realm, doing some doing some of that stuff. So I really enjoyed the time jump. So like for me, this is a big win. Time jump was a big win. So did you enjoy the aspect of the crawls though?
Yes, I think it was kind of important to understand what their ideas of the crawls were. Obviously, the military has their own agenda with why they're in the Upside Down. They don't really know Vecna exists, right? The military is not familiar with that aspect of it. They are just out to get 11. And so they think 11's in the Upside Down. That's what they're hunting for. And I really like that dynamic of sending the crew in to look for Vecna while the military is looking for 11. I think that adds a very fun cat and mouse type game. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think they executed that very well. As far as like the development of these characters and stuff with like the crawl thing, it's kind of cool just to see Hopper go in and be a beast in the Upside Down, right? Like he knows his way around. He's hopping in these trucks. He's sneaking around. I love all that aspect of it. And you mentioned, using the decibels to track him in the Upside Down. I think another cool aspect of the crawls is it made every character feel like they had an important role. In
Yes.
Stranger Things, when you have so many characters that are important to the story, it can get easy to kind of like, what does Steve do, right? He's not the brightest guy on the block, but he's also not he doesn't do a lot of things, but he can drive a car pretty well, right? So it makes everyone kind of have an important aspect of it. And so that's why I like the crawl so much. It kept everyone engaged. It kept everyone feeling important. So that for me was a big win. And it's just cool to see them kind of sneak around the Upside Down.
Yeah, that I agree. And I love the aspect you brought on. Everyone's important, right?
Mhm.
We get to see like what Nancy's doing and even the adults. And that's one of the biggest thing about this season that I'm really loving is that the group is back together. That
Mhm.
was the weakest part of season 4 in my opinion is we had three groups. We had the California kids, we had the Russian group, and then we had the kids who were back in uh
Hawkins.
Hawkins, good lord.
Yeah.
Hawkins, Indiana. So, and so we didn't really get to see the dynamic of the entire group, which is really like the aspect of the fun that I really like has a bunch of the charm. Like getting to see Dustin and Steve together in the first few seasons and like their relationship bloom and then his and Eddie's like that's really like where the charm of this show comes from. Like, yeah, the Demogorgons are cool. The Upside Down is cool, but really the characters playing off of each other is really where the highlight of this show is, at least for me, is. And so it's really nice to have everyone back together, working together as a team.
Yeah, and even though like they do a good job of like still they're set into groups, right? Like usually we see Dustin and
Yep.
Steve together, they're doing their portion of it. So there are still like those split offs, right? They're all still doing their own assignment, but it is ultimately all together to achieve whatever goal they're trying to do. So I think they're doing a really good job of balancing that, which can be really hard with that many characters.
Yeah, it kind of puts it into a mindset of like almost Infinity War, where it is like, hey, like how do you balance this many characters on screen? Well, it's really challenging to balance 9 main characters.
Mhm.
And I think they're doing a really good job of it. Do you feel like there's any weak links this season?
As far as characters are concerned, do you mean like their, importance to the story, or are we talking like acting or
Let's do slightly both.
okay.
Importance to the story and an actor, like you just don't love what's going on with their character.
I have never been a big fan of the character, but it definitely feels like Jonathan has taken a huge step back. I
Okay.
feel like in past seasons we would see him be a little bit more involved, and this season he sounds like he's just like a thorn in everyone's side. Essentially, like his only importance right now has been to cause this little bit of strife between him and Nancy and Steve. Right? Obviously, there's a weird triangle connection going on there because we know Jonathan and Nancy are together. We know Steve and Nancy were together, and they still kind of have a little bit of a thing. I feel like that's kind of been his only purpose. I feel like he hasn't really given a whole lot to the story so far. But again, there's still a lot of the season left to go. If Stranger Things has taught you anything, it always gives characters the opportunity to shine, which I think this season has done really well, right? We've seen some
Yeah.
great 11 scenes. We've seen Steve driving the car. I love in that last episode where they hook up the thing to the BMW and they're sitting in the car, him and Dustin are like, hope this happens fast. And Steve's like, yeah, because we don't look inconspicuous at all. It pans up to the big. And then we see him go on this awesome car chase, chasing the Demogorgon through the Upside Down. Like, everyone's had a really good opportunity to sign. Will has probably one of the coolest moments in the show,
Oh my
right?
goodness, yeah.
All time. Like, absolutely has his moment to shine. We're obviously still waiting on a few characters to get their moment. Max has had those moments, but she hasn't really been a part of the season. But that's kind of been an interesting development to why her character is still in a coma, trying to navigate all those things. So I think they've done a good job. I don't really feel like anyone has been a letdown, but if I had to pick one, it would be Jonathan, just because he's always just kind of in the background, right? We haven't really seen him have a scene to himself. So hopefully that's something that changes, but that's really the only one I can see really kind of not necessarily holding the show back, because I just don't think he's had a moment yet. But that's one room for improvement that I hope gets brought up in this next season.
Okay. No, that's a great pick. And honestly, I kind of almost have forgotten about him, which I think emphasizes your point
Yep.
even more. Is like, hey, like he is supposed to be a main character, but he has faded into obscurity almost in this season. Almost like you said, his only use right now to me seems to be Steve the Harrington's,
Mm-hmm.
Rival.
Right?
Obstacle.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Not even a rival. Just like he's in the way. He's in the
Yep.
way between to get back with Nancy, and that I agree. My personal biggest letdown is honestly, it comes as a shock after the opener, because I was really happy with her. But Robin, Rockin'
Okay.
Robin, I loved her radio show. I loved what she was
Yeah.
doing, but everything outside of that is just so frustrating to me. Her and her relationship that she is trying to force in this time, it's just. And then she's gonna be like, the way that they are leading Will into also homosexuality. Like, they have said it openly that he is a homosexuality like character. That is going to happen. And then him and her dialogue, and how do you know what's going on? It's all just like, it's just frustrating to me. I don't want
Yeah.
to see that in this show. It's, we're talking about kids as well. Like, they are still supposed to be children. So I don't know. A little bit of frustrating for me. So she's been a letdown because that's been the openness of it. Now, her radio show and everything that they did, that was awesome. I love the little coding and the ciphering that she was doing and everything that was going on there. Like, her character had really cool moments, and I like how she comes across as anxiety. Like,
She kind of does.
Like, she comes across as anxiety, which is awesome because she voiced anxiety in Inside Out too.
Yeah.
And it's like the way she talks, like, it really portrays that, like somebody who really doesn't have their emotions under control, but is almost supposed to portray that she does. So, but yeah, no, I think your pick is better than mine.
Yeah, I feel like Robin has still had a couple of good moments. Like, I love when she interjects with the whole Will and Joyce part of that show, right? Like, Joyce is wanting to play it way too safe, and she's like, hey, I really like your idea. I love the Back to the Future call out, right? Like, the Great Scott. I thought that was awesome. And then she says we need to fix the flux capacitor. And then we see Joyce call Steve and Dustin on the radio, and she's like, do you guys know anything about the flux capacitor? And they're like, what? Like, so I think she's had some good moments. I feel like she is almost, though, more so an extra than some of the other characters. She came into the show a little bit later, right? She is still a part of the story, but I feel like she's already had her moment in the show. So I feel like she's doing a good job of just playing her role. But I also do get it where you're coming across from, because some of those scenes are just kind of like, can we just move on? Let's get to the next part.
Now, here's a real question for you. Why did they say flux capacitor?
I don't know. I haven't thought much about it.
So, like, that movie came out in 1985. Do you think these kids have a movie theater now?
Like, well, they do. I think there is a movie theater in Hawkins. I think there is
where
one.
The portal is?
I don't remember.
Through the town. I thought it ripped through the town
center. It was definitely in the town. It was definitely in the town.
I know they did, because they had the play there where she was starring. But it's like,
no, I don't know. But I do love the callback.
They also had a reference to Mission Impossible which hasn't come out yet.
Oh,
So
what
those
is
are
the reference to Mission Impossible?
the kids were like, "This is feeling like a little Mission Impossible, like
Oh, I must not have
lean,"
been paying
and I'm
attention
like,
to that.
"That's like 10 years too early, guys." Like,
I think those are some of those things that they're probably not even like they're not even trying to say. They're just like, let's throw it in there. It sounds
well, the
fun.
kids, to these actors, that is ancient history, like
Yeah, yeah.
1990s. Like,
Yep.
it's all the same. It starts with 1-9. So I did think that was too funny. I was like, man, I feel like this might be a little early for Back to the Future to be
I mean,
Fallout.
maybe Stranger Things is what set up the ideas for those movies. Maybe that's the point they're trying to get across.
Maybe.
Yep.
But it also could have been like that. No one really seemed to know it was from the movie. They all kind of were
Oh,
like,
it's not like they were all just like, "What are you talking about?"
yeah.
So yeah,
So I don't know. Pretty cool.
yeah, fun little throw in there.
All right. We saw a character in the show, number 11, Elle. She got nerfed with this weapon. How did you feel about the sonar guns being the nerf?
I don't really have. It kind of makes sense. I feel like anytime we have a character like that, that kind of always seems to be their weakness is something along those lines. Doesn't really bother me that much. Because if you think about it, she really didn't have much of an issue with anything other than her own self-confidence, which she seems to have really kind of conquered heading into this season.
Gone.
So I'm kind of happy that she is having like an actual obstacle presented to her in front of her, something that she can't really control, right? Because the whole confidence thing, it comes all from inside, right? You're either going to have it or you're just going to wither away. And so I'm happy that this is something that's in front of her that she can just kind of take care of and handle, or try to figure a way around it, which she doesn't seem to have an obstacle figured out for this one yet. That hasn't really bothered me too much, but I think it's been kind of a good way to not just let her roll right through these army bases and just kind of throw people around and stuff like that. I would really like to see how those affect Vecna, because when he does show up, though you don't have that stuff ready for him, he just kind of comes in and just has his way with everything. I'd be interested to see if that's more so something she has to deal with because she hasn't figured out how to overcome that, or if it is, something that affects all of them with those type of powers.
No, that's a really good point. They should definitely try those on the Demogorgons.
Yeah, or something along those lines, right? I would like to see that. But again, they're not really familiar with Vecna or the Demogorgons because they just think 11 is the problem, right? They think she is the root cause of everything. We do kind of get to see, because they do, I think it's number 8, that we get revealed to at the very end of the episode that they have pulled up. Kind of makes that throwaway episode from a couple seasons ago matter a little bit more.
Sure.
It does appear that they were using those on her. So I'm sure they are familiar that it does work on multiple people. Now that they've been exposed to Vecna, if they do come in contact with him, I'd really like to see if they do try it. But I haven't had really too much of an issue with those. It's really just kind of a good way to put, stop her from just being able to do whatever she wants.
Yeah, it seems like a decent obstacle to put in her way.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I had something there for you. I just lost it, but
do you like the sonar?
Kind of. I don't love it. It seems like a little bit of an easy button for them, just like to throw in there. But I don't know. It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
It's not like a detriment, but it's not like, oh, that's really smart. Like, it just kind of seems easy. Now one thing I was gonna say is, how do you feel about putting an entire clip of an M4 into a Demogorgon and having no impact at all, but a wine bottle broken on the shelf kind of puts it down a little bit?
So I've seen that complaint a whole lot, right? And it is a big weird, it is a big weird thing. Obviously, you got to give character their opportunity to shine. I kind of think it's cool, if anything, that's kind of been Karen's weakness throughout the entire show, is she is shown to be an alcoholic. She's always drinking and stuff like that. At least it was something that kind of gave her a chance, right? So I don't really necessarily... I've been looking for that now, though, every time a Demogorgon shows up. How much damage are they taking from some of these actual weapons?
No.
I felt like I felt like the guns are really not doing what they should be,
Nothing.
because we even see when they go into the Turnbow's house, right? When they set up this trap for this one Demogorgon that's trying to come take out the new kid, Derek, who I think is absolutely hilarious. There's a few moments in there, right? Like we see the one board that has the nails come down and hit the Demogorgon in the chest. That seems to provoke a good amount of blood out of it. So I don't know. Maybe it's like doesn't make sense that
Yeah, but
blunt
a
weapons.
2-2-3 going straight through the
Yeah,
chest, nothing.
doesn't seem. So there is a little bit of a problem there. I kind of obviously you're gonna have those moments because the military would literally just be able to roll right through
Wipe
the
through.
upside down. You got to have something there that makes it not seem like that. But I've definitely been like trying to like focus in whenever they're fighting one on like how much blood is coming out of that hole, because this wine bottle about killed one.
I know.
But other than that, no. And
Like,
I'm
that
at
would
least
be so
thankful
good,
though.
too. Go ahead.
I'm at least thankful that like Karen didn't like just kind of like
Didn't live.
get away from that. I'm
Yeah.
happy that she got her a few stabs in, and then the Demogorgon was like, "This is not doing anything," and just so I'm happy they at least let that happen and didn't let her like
Yeah.
escape. But no, it would definitely have been a talking point in the Stranger Things community about this. Whatever this wine bottle is, they might need to. It might be like adamantium or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was actually made in the Depression era. It's radioactive glass,
Makes sense.
and that's
Makes
the
sense.
weakness. But like,
Yep.
they have the weakness of fire, so like we could just play off of that and like be impenetrable, and then all of our main characters could just know that and fight it with fire. And
Carry a
that's why
torch around like a lighter.
Yeah, like they
Lighter and
covered him. They
hairspray.
covered him in acetone and then lit him on fire, and he was like, you know, crispy. Like he he wanted to leave. So I don't know. It just seems it seems a little inconsistent. And you know me and my inconsistencies. I couldn't help but have flashbacks to Batman. And these guards have literally unloaded clip after clip of 223, 517, like all of these ammo into this thing. And then the commander comes up with a shotgun. And the shotgun's what impacts him.
Well, funny you bring up the shotguns.
Doing?
It seems like the shotgun had the most effectiveness to the Demogorgons.
No, that's what I'm saying. It makes no
I think
sense.
If you do think about it, though, if you think back to like the average person, I feel like they would honestly think a shotgun is way more powerful than some of these other weapons. The average person. I feel like that kind of does make sense. You did bring up the, fire aspect of it. I loved when Hopper was in the Upside Down inside that little camp, and he's getting choked out by the one. It's not a Demogorgon. I don't know what type of thing that they have in that cell, and General K is showing like she's turning the knob to make it hot or cold. I really like that
cool
visualization for kind of letting the viewers know like where they thrive in and what damages them. So I thought that was a cool little aspect to show.
Yeah, that was a really sick moment with the tentacle.
Yeah,
very neat. Very interesting how they did that and what that creature was. I'm interested because we really haven't seen anything like that I'm aware of. It almost kind of makes me think, are we getting like a Hydra-esque creature kind of coming in the finale?
Yeah, well, they definitely not been shy about Dungeons and Dragons, right? It's been littered throughout this whole season again. I love that they use their little minis to kind of show like where they need to be placed and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. So I am interested to see that. I think the only time we've really seen anything like that is when Vecna is using it to like choke people. We saw him do that with like Max in the previous season, but those weren't really they were like vines more so in that season. So
yeah,
I'd be interested to see if we get a couple of more, Dungeons and Dragons things. I mean, if you think back to it, we've gotten the Demogorgons, we've gotten obviously Vecna, we've seen the Mind Flayer a couple of times, which I feel like is going to make an appearance again here in the end of this season coming up. So I wouldn't be surprised if they throw another little Dungeons and Dragons villain in there just to kind of thresh out that world a little bit more and kind of connect it to really what the show is based on.
Yeah, no, and that's really cool aspect of it to see if they are going to add anything else. Now, one of the Dungeons and Dragons aspects of it that a lot of people are like thinking about is, do you think that Eddie's coming back?
So I got my hopes up so much when we saw Max for the first time because I was convinced it was Eddie. I was
Yep,
convinced
same.
Holly was going to look up and it was going to be Eddie sitting there. I don't know. I feel like that would have been the time to do it, but I don't know, man.
Have
That's
you
been a
have you
really
seen the fan theories?
Oh, I've seen so many theories. I remember watching theories when the last season ended of things that they were going to do because there's Dungeons and Dragons characters that come into contact with Vecna and are
Yeah.
ultimately the downfall of, like, there's so much cool stuff they could do there. I feel like halfway through the season now though, I'm starting to lose hope that he's going to make a comeback because I also feel like it might at this point damage Dustin's character development a little bit because he has
Okay.
kind of come to terms with the fact that Eddie's gone. We see him visiting the grave, cleaning it off, and all that stuff. And it kind of feels like that's his big push for moving forward, right? If Eddie comes back, I think it would be an epic moment. I'm still hoping it does, but it does kind of feel like that is dwindling a little bit.
Yeah, and I get that. I just think once they're all in the, because this seems like the second half of the season is going to be completely upside down.
Hmm.
Like pretty much not much in the real world. And the fan theory is that he does come back as Cass, who is a
Hmm.
vampire. He got killed by bats, and Cass would have the ability for fire. It kind of seems like Vecna's holding back fire in the trailers. Seems like it could be a really cool moment. I know I would love it to
Yeah.
see him come back as a vampire in the Upside Down. That would be super cool. Then we got our sorcerer with Will, kind of such a cool title too, for him to use Vecna's powers and kill the Demogorgon the exact ways that Vecna tried to kill Max and did kill so many others, like with the arms breaking and the head
Hmm.
twitching. Like that was so cool. I was so happy for that moment. I'm glad he got his moment because
Hmm.
Will has been a weak link since season one. And I'm very glad that he had a moment to actually shine.
Yeah, I agree because as far as like being a weak link, like physically in the fight, he has always been the guy kind of just getting pulled around and stuff. And it kind of continued with this season a little bit. He kind of starts off like that, really unsure, more of a liability because every time he came into contact with the Demogorgons or the hive mind, he kind of just lost the control. Yeah, he couldn't do it. So I'm really happy he got his moment and it was awesome, right? Like
Yeah.
everything, it looks like when I saw Lucas's chest get slashed open, I was like, okay, maybe this is a moment that someone's gonna die. Like midway through the season, you kind of need that push right at the middle. And I'm almost happy that like, and you know how much I love deaths of main characters. I live for it.
You love some good deaths.
But I did like this a little bit better because it finally made a character that had been needing that moment of not being a liability in a fight anymore. He really just became maybe their greatest tool. And so I thought that was really cool. Yeah, going back to the Eddie stuff, dude, I'm right there with you. I still hope it happens. We do see Vecna hold back the fire though when he comes out. The flamethrower people are shooting it at him.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's that same scene because I saw that thing too. I hope it's not. Um, but it's gonna be interesting to see. Really, I'm more so interested in Will's powers now. Like, are they independent of Vecna? Is it only because he's connected to the hive mind that he's able to use those things? I'm really interested to see where that comes into play. I would almost venture to say this isn't going to be a surprise to Vecna. I feel like he
Right.
has to know that Will has those abilities. I'm kind of leaning into the theory that Will is going to be used as evil and kind of going to be like a Harry Potter moment. I don't know if you've watched the Harry Potter movies, but Harry Potter had to be killed so that Voldemort would die, right? I'm kind of getting that similar vibe for this. So I'm interested to see how that develops. I'm interested to see if he does get to use them independently or if he's really just going to be used as a pawn for Vecna. And it kind of brings up the same point. Maybe if he is being used as a pawn, maybe that's how we see Eddie come into the picture. If he is being portrayed as Cass, maybe he gives Will some insight onto how to like break that connection with Vecna but retain the powers or something along
Right.
those lines.
Yeah, how do we get it out?
Yeah.
How do we sever that connection? Because they tried to sever that connection in season two, and they
Hmm.
thought they did. They thought they were effective, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious, and I know that he could have the solution of just leave Hawkins, like he could just leave the city because they said he didn't feel it in California. That was a big
Yep.
aspect of it. So there is that aspect you could just get out, which I think
But at this
everyone
point,
should do.
But at this point, he seems to be pretty powerful, so you might want to keep him around for the time
Right.
being, just in case another Demogorgon horde attack happens.
But I would say this probably is specifically only for uh the connections to the Upside Down. I don't think it's independent. I think he can
Yeah,
only use it on creatures who he has a connection to. That would be
for
my
sure.
guess.
I think that kind of plays into the whole hive mind aspect because it makes sense, right? When the Demogorgons were hurt, he felt it, right? Like all
Yeah.
those things kind of starting to take effect. So I would agree with you there, but I'm interested to see if they do try to figure out a way for it not to be that case. And he does kind of ultimately have the same powers as 11 or something along those lines because we got a lot of insight into that first, season 1 of what Vecna really did to Will in the Upside Down, right?
Yeah.
He's got a part of him inside of him now, right? Like he is connected to it. So I'm interested to see how that continues to develop. I think it might be the most interesting aspect moving forward, at least right now.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated with the Max aspect. How did you feel about that payoff? Did you feel like that was like well earned? Are you happy with that? Do you kind of where do you see that storyline going? Like what's happening?
I'm still more so interested to see just more so about this memory that they're stuck in,
Okay.
right?
The cave.
It doesn't really make sense to me yet, and I don't think it's supposed to. I know the Duffer Brothers have come out and said that this next season is supposed to dive heavily, or the next half of this season is supposed to dive heavily into not only the Upside Down, but the creation of it, how it works, kind of give people an understanding of what it really is. Because as far as we know, it's really just like a mirror copy of Hawkins. It's a lot more creepier, right? We
Yep.
don't really know its significance. We don't really know what it's all about. So I'm more interested to see why it's a memory that she's stuck in rather than, because all the other ones, like Holly, for example, her body is with Vecna, right? She is stuck to this, whatever you want to call it, this path or this, whatever. She's stuck to it. So it makes sense that her mind is being occupied by whatever he is wanting her to see. Max isn't there. So that's why
Right.
I'm a little bit more confused as to how she is stuck there and everyone else makes sense. Like if they were hooked up to the same thing that Holly's hooked up to, those other couple of kids that Will saw in his flashback in that moment, I'd be interested why they're not in the memory. Right? There's some of these questions that I'm hoping get answered because for me right now, I'm happy Max is back. I think she's got a cool opportunity to have her big moment. But right now, just I have more questions than I have answers about why she's stuck there.
No, I completely agree. If she was in the Upside Down with one of those tubes down her throat, I get it.
Makes
Like, yep,
sense. Yeah.
that's where you're at. But you're sitting on a hospital bed, not in the Upside Down. Don't get it.
Why is
And
your
then
mind
also,
stuck there?
why is your mind stuck there? And then also, like, I know they have played Kate Bush for her more often than just that one time. So why can't
Mhm.
she just exit? Like, if that was the key to getting back, like, why is that closed forever? Like, can she get back? What's going on? So I don't know. It's very
I think
interesting.
as far as that aspect is concerned, I think she is at this point just more so scared she's going to run into Henry again, right?
Mm.
We see when she is about to escape, when the portal does close, she turns around and there he is. I feel like they have obviously played that song for her more. I feel like it's more just a scared thing of her being in that cave because obviously she doesn't come and, wait for Holly to come out the door. She knocks on that door and she's right back to that cave where she knows she's safe. So I think that's probably more so of why she hasn't come out to try to get back to wherever that song is playing to get back into her body. But I also do agree with you. You'd feel like it's probably worth the risk at that point if you're just stuck there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's again more questions than answers right now. But I definitely think we'll get some of those moving forward.
Yeah, and I think they have a good explanation for it. Especially with this being the last season, it's not like they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger. They haven't figured that out yet. Like they have a
Yeah,
solution, they have an answer, and we're going to see it in a little over a month, a little under a
yeah,
month. So that's exciting. Yeah.
yep, for sure.
What else? What else you got?
Man, I just
That's
think
all the
it's
points I wanted to hit.
yeah, no, I think it's been a great season. I'm excited for the rest of it. I'm sure you've enjoyed it just as much as I have, as far as the storytelling is concerned. The action scenes have been awesome. I think an unsung hero of the show has been Murray. Love his character and the way they're utilizing him. He's just the smuggler in and out of Hawkins. I love his little quippy jokes about, he's got a head of lettuce, but that's where he keeps the hand grenades. Like, I just love all those little aspects that he's added to the story. And it goes back to when you have all these characters, giving them their opportunities, it's really hard to do better than what they have done. Obviously, we've complained about a couple of them, but for the large majority of them, I think everyone that we've been familiar with in the past is getting a really good, recognition in this upcoming season, which is really all you can ask for.
No, and I would agree with that. It is definitely like his aspect of it with the smuggling, and then when Dustin was like, "Where's my supercharger?" He's like, "Do you understand like what is going on? Like what like how hard it is to get this stuff?"
Yeah.
Which is, so cool. So
Yep.
so cool, very good. And then like that led to the aspect of putting it on the BMW instead of the van, which was another cool aspect. So no, it's well thought out. I think they've done a great job with this stuff.
Yeah.
So
There's no glaring holes, which is all you can really ask for in a show like this. Obviously, we have our couple of them with the Demogorgons and what they're susceptible to and not, but I think at the end of the day, if those are the only things that you're really finding, they've got something, working out pretty well so far.
oh dude, one of the best scenes we didn't talk about was that pie scene, dude. Like I
Yep.
dude, them
And
eating that pie and then her stabbing her friend with the
yep, it just goes back to every character kind of getting a moment, right? Like that's
yeah.
Erica's moment, right? She goes into the house, she puts on those fake tears to get access. I think that was a really great scene. And dude, I brought him up a little bit, but Derek is hilarious, dude. Like
Yeah, pretty funny.
everything he has to say is so funny. Just the way he walks around and like gets played, like he has me dying all the time. Me and my wife would just look at each other and be laughing over one of his one-liners. So no, I think they've done a really good job with everybody so far. I've loved the story, and I'm definitely excited for more.
Yeah. Yeah, can't wait for more Stranger Things. Sad though, this is the last year we'll get it. It's over.
Yep.
No more. And that's okay. All good things have to come to an end. Hopefully they don't let us down. You know.
Well, and we have to be thankful that this isn't one of those shows they're dragging out for 11, 12 seasons because they could make the money from it, right? They've
Yeah.
obviously got a story they want to tell, and they want to be done with it after this. So I think it's
Just
always a
11 or
good sign.
12
Also.
years.
Yeah, it took them a while to get there, but they at least had their story.
They at least have an ending, which is
Yep.
super good. So, all right. I know this is usually our rundown episodes first of the month, but we wanted to take this time to talk about Stranger Things. I also haven't got to talk to Jacob in a while, so I was just
Yep.
happy to get on here and talk about Stranger Things with you. Glad you had a good trip, and this is awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for more to come. We got a bunch of stuff coming out. We got Fallout Season 2 coming out this month. We
Yep.
got Avatar, Fire and Ash dropping on Peyton's birthday, so that's a big one. So little Christmas present to Peyton, little Christmas birthday present. Gets to watch Avatar: Fire and Ash, and then this is coming. The final half of this is coming on Christmas. We got
Yep.
Anaconda with Paul Rudd coming out, I think. What else we got? And then this comes to theaters at the end of
The finale.
month. The finale will be playing in theaters, so if you want to go watch it there at the cinemas, you can do that. I think me and Jake will probably be sitting on our couch watching.
Yeah,
it.
I'm gonna enjoy my couch for this one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth forking over for the babysitter. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the couch will do for this one.
Well, and me
It's done
personally,
for
right?
all the others. I don't
Well,
want to
this
change
has
the
been
experience.
yeah, this has been a TV show, right? No
It's been a
reason to
TV show.
change it now. Let's finish it out how we started it. So I'm right there with you.
Okay, but you got anything else before we dip?
Nope, that's it for me. I'm excited to continue this Stranger Things talk. I can't believe, like, when I thought about it, we'd never have talked about the show like this before.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're 102 episodes in, and we haven't ever had a Stranger Things content come
Dude,
in.
that's like one of those memes. Like the Weekly Fix had 100 episodes of their podcast before Stranger Things season 5 released.
Which is pretty cool,
It is.
We haven't done it every week, but we've been pretty consistent. So
We have.
it's the almost weekly fix. So
I'd give us the bonus points because there's a few weeks where we do 2. We had a few of those.
Yeah, we've had a few duels.
It'll buff out.
Yeah, it comes out in the wash. But
yeah,
I thank you guys so much for tuning in, sticking with us. Let us know what you thought of Stranger Things. Are you enjoying it? Do you have the same complaints we do? Do you like those aspects of it that we were complaining about? Let us know. If we're super wrong on that, we'd love to talk about it in the comments. Peyton is wrong. He said that there's no magic in Star Wars. He said that it's not a fantasy, and it's okay to be wrong. It happens.
Listen, I'm not
but we
getting in the
love
middle
we
of this
love the
one.
discussion.
I've
I'm not
stayed out of that argument.
just
I've stayed out of that one.
little dip out. So, anyway, guys, we'll catch you next week here on the Weekly Fix. Thank you so much for joining us. Peace.